Land only in the western provinces. When the Constitution of Canada was formed in 1867, and the French and Europeans landed in Acadia, which was Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, in the late 1500s and early 1600s, and children were registered as Métis in the early 1600s in Acadia.
Yeah, thank you for that question. As I was saying, the Métis Nation emerged as a distinct people with a distinct geographic homeland. Maybe the term Métis is confusing people. We could have called ourselves as opposed to the Chip. Then maybe that would be more clear. The term Métis itself, I think, confuses things. Now, the Haudenosaunee, have a distinct homeland, but the Haida have a distinct homeland. You don't say, they're everywhere. We, the Métis Nation, are a distinct people, And unfortunately, but you're not part of us, and you'll never be part of us.
Whoa! Oh my! Excuse me.
Can I stop you there?
I just want to be really clear here.
Oh my!
He's not saying you're not Métis, right? He's not saying that. He's saying that they're a distinct and a separate group. So that I think that I just want to be clear that he's not saying you're not Métis.
Thank you. We'll move on from that one. Also, since you're talking about you guys have a court case in Saskatchewan. Can you clarify a little bit more, since the MNC, the MN Saskatchewan office is shut down in Nova Scotia? Because I'm getting an abundance of phone calls, and they're affiliated with the MNC, which is actually under you guys, and this is your provincial office. They're calling us for their files, that they're stating that we have their files, which are clearly not affiliated with us. And where can we direct these people, because they're very distraught?
Yeah, no, I understand the issue. Some of them call us as well for clarification. It is true, the office there is closed. There will be an election in September, and
yeah, because we've been referring them back to you.
I think part of the problem, though, is people are being confused because there's a Métis Nation Canada. I think where you come from, there's another Métis Nation Canada somewhere else, and like there's on the internet, there's all these over the last number of years cropping up people on the web and saying you can apply for a membership. So it's very confusing to our people when they see that, and so they're reaching out. And in my paper here, I'm also saying that there's also a lot of misappropriation or appropriation of Métis Nation symbols, like our flag that's fought on TV there in the East Coast.
He's saying 7
our
Oaks.
flag, like the historic Métis Nation
He said the
flag.
flag was first flown in battle at 7 Oaks 200
I
years
understand
ago.
that. But you have to belong to whom you belong. And you've got to work that out for yourselves. We know, again, who we are. That is our flag. It is our symbol. And so, we just hope other people would respect ourselves as a distinct people. Fight for your rights, however you want, but, don't diminish our rights because, we don't happen to belong to our particular nation.
Also, Mr.
I just want to make sure there's no other questions from other people.
I just have
there
one
are.
more question.
You've already had a couple, and there's other people who would like to speak. So if you just let us ask, and we'll come back to you if there's time. We got 2 days. We've got lots of time to make your points. So I have one from President Chartand over here, and then from Bill Engie over there. So President Chartand.
Yeah, thank you very much. And again, I know I'm going through the President's presentation, and given this fact, he spent more on history than his presentation. There's a lot of concrete messaging that's taking place in the evolution of the Métis. But I think for the question that the lady poses from, I'm not sure exactly where you're originally from, East Coast somewhere, Nova Scotia or whatever. As the president of the Manitoba Federation, I think it's important that people get to understand what the word Métis generates. And this conference is going to talk about some of this stuff. Courts are already starting to determine those arguments that are taking place in these coast about a continuation. You can't just be a Métis overnight. You have to have a continuum that goes all the way back in history. And so the word Métis really doesn't reflect itself until after 1982, which in fact was in your earlier presentation, Jean. So we started looking at the evolution of the Métis Nation. We've already and always existed in the prairies, but we were called different names at one time. Country born, Bravo-lay, burned wood color of their skin, half-breed, mixed blood, and the word Métis came along because of the French translation, Métis, meaning mixed blood. So that kind of lingered itself. But Métis Nation is, for us, is a Western-based nation. And for those, and if I can state this assembly, I was speaking at a conference in Steinbach, which is well known as a Métis community, a Mennonite community, very powerful Mennonite community. And I was challenged on the issue of harvesting rights in my presentation. And the Mennonite got up and asked me the question. He said, well, I got land just like you did back in your era, and so I should have the same rights as you have. And I said, well, then go to court and prove it. We did that. We went to court and fought and politically fought until we can get our recognition in existence. So for those that want to claim the word Métis, because its connotations could mix blood is the confusion part, I think, is that the courts are determined. The recent courts came out of Quebec, and Jason hopefully will speak on it when he does speak, where the judge basically made it one statement. He said, in the sense of the individual trying to claim his Métis-ness to his history, and the judge basically rules that, well, it's like nailing jello to the wall because you're not connecting yourself to after 12 generations yet. So I think it's important, imperative that people really get to understand that there is a Métis Nation, and that's recognized in our court case, recognized as the MMF as a collective representative of our people. So from that perspective, I think the term Métis should be carefully used by others. And if they do want to use it, then I guess they got to do what we did, go to courts and politically activate and stand up for themselves.
Bill, and this is the last question, and then we're going to move on.
Bill Inge, President of the North Slave Métis Alliance, Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. North of 60 is the only place in Canada where the government of Canada is undertaking land claim negotiations. And what's topical here today, of course, is the implications of Daniels vis-a-vis land claims for Métis. The question I have is, what are the mechanics for triggering a land claim for Métis? Is the first step in the process proving that you have a Section 35 Aboriginal right to a land claim as a Métis through your Métis ethnicity, as opposed to your Indian ancestry through Aboriginal title?
Okay, thank you for that, Bill. And actually, that's the wrong heading up there. It's supposed to be land rights and self-determination in the program. But in any event, we do, as I say, have a statement of claim filed in 1994 in Northwest Saskatchewan. So that's one way you can do it, is to file a statement of claim and pursue your rights in that way, because the Minister of Justice, then Minister of Justice, Jean Tellet, in 1981, wrote to us after we started the deal to include the rights and include the Métis into the Constitution. Wrote to us and said, we draw funding, further funding, saying that whatever rights or title we had were extinguished either by the superseded by law in the West or, supremacy of Parliament in the West superseded by law in the East, and basically referred to the Human Rights Act and the spirit process. So basically it said, we're not going to recognize the rights unless the courts say that we have rights. And so MMF went to court, we're in court, as a test case in Northwest Saskatchewan. Now, those right now are the only ways, but we do have another way, and imminently the Ministerial Special Representative Tom Isaac is going to be releasing, or the government's going to be releasing his report, which is going to trigger a process of reconciliation between the Métis and Section 35. I don't know what's going to be there, and he didn't just deal with the Métis Nation. I think he left it over to deal with whoever identified as Métis. But I don't know what the report is going to say. And the government's position, current government's position, is that they will engage with reconciliation in Section 35 with Indigenous peoples, and specifically they will deal with reconciliation in Section 35 on a nation basis with the Métis Nation. So there is a process that's coming out, so we have an opportunity to go to the court. Well, you have a choice of other reports, or take the opportunity of what may be in Tom Isaac's report and whatever from that report that the minister or the government will go forward with.
Just to be clear, are you saying that